Hello, everybody, and welcome to Viewing Gods Explosion Network's American Gods Aftershow. I'm Dylan Blight, and joining me, the true Australian god, Nicholas Pryor.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
I enjoy that intro more and more each week, I think. Okay, so of course we will be diving into this week's episode and talking all about it, episode 2 of season 2. But first, we do have hashtag breaking. It's not really breaking. It kind of came out a day after we recorded last episode, I think, or roughly there. So, but over at Variety, American Gods names Charles Chick Eagley showrunner gets season 3 renewal. So we are, in fact, getting a 3rd season of American Gods. It is a really weird announcement. I did not expect it, and I thought it was honestly kind of crazy that, considering everything that was happening, and we were talking so much about, like, is this the last season? Are we fucked? Is this Sharp Shit Creek? And then they renew it after the first episode. I don't know if that's kind of a sign of, I know it doesn't happen that fast, but I don't know if, like, they had high enough numbers between viewers on Fremantle Network stars or stars combined with Amazon viewers and stuff that they like push the final button to get this to go over the line. I guess I don't really know. I
can also imagine a situation where the person in charge of this is like, if this doesn't succeed, I'm gone, and he's doubling down and going, "Yep, we're making a 3rd season. We're going to come good."
I don't know who's shoveling money into it.
Has there ever been a case of they've announced another season but then canned it later?
Not that I can think of. No. Usually shows usually shows are either not announced or cancelled. And especially when it comes to a show like this, which obviously is a lot different to a show that, say, could get announced. They could film 12, 13 episodes of 24 episode season and then cancel it halfway. Whereas because of the way this show's done is your higher network stuff, which is they go off, they film it all, and then they spend 9 months in post-production, kind of like a movie. And like at that stage, it's much like a movie that you film and then you're like, God, this is terrible. But then they still end up shoveling it out eventually anyway, because they're like, well, we've done it now, so you can't really cancel it at this stage. So the article says, the Fremantle-produced Stars television series based Neil Gaiman's novel has officially been picked up for a 3rd season and has tapped Charles Chick Eagley to lead the season as showrunner and executive producer. The news comes less than a week after the show has launched its 2nd season. Eagley's credits include Hemlock Grove, which I watched I think I watched both seasons. I can't even remember. The Walking Dead, among The Walking Dead's fucking 20 executive producers at this stage, I swear. Dexter and The Shield. Blah, blah, blah. He'll now be the 3rd showrunner at the helm of the series. Brian Fuller and Michael Green served as co-showrunners during the 1st season, but the departed over clashes with Fremantle over the show's budget and creative direction. Jesse Alexander shepherded Gods through its 2nd season, but he was reportedly sidelined during production without being officially let go. So what do you reckon? Here's this guy's credits. To me, it's like a whatever. It doesn't say anything really too much about how he can lead the show.
I enjoyed Dexter and The Shield, but I don't know. There's nothing like real stand out in this kind of genre area or surrealness. Like, not having seen Hemlock Grove, but that doesn't seem to be in the kind of same ballpark either.
Hemlock Grove was very dark, at least.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. It was not the same style, of course, that American Gods was set up with, particularly in the 1st season. But then I'm like, by the time we reach the end of this 2nd season, we're going to be more used to the style this is being done now than the 1st season. And then someone else can kind of come in and probably be able to follow suit of the 2nd season a lot easier than what they had to deal with coming after the 1st season, I guess.
I think by the time this is all said and done, we're going to have a hard time assessing the whole thing as a whole. It's going to be so different to each other season.
Well, it's like, I don't know how many they plan to do. Obviously, I don't think you can get too many seasons out of this show.
Yeah, I don't think you can extend it too much, because even jumping ahead, like today, I felt like a lot of today was filler. So,
well, they're adding stuff, like, especially from what I can gather, especially to do with like Shadow's character and stuff. Yeah. And obviously having team ups of characters that weren't in the book but work in the show. And to an extent, that makes sense, because obviously with a TV show, you want a little bit more longevity to it, I guess. But there's only so much stretching of material before it kind of, you stretch something too far, it breaks or just becomes stale from hanging out in the wind too long. And you don't want the show to become stale, I feel, considering it's one thing it has going for it is it's, if anything, lively at most times. So the moment you're watching an episode and you're like, oh, just get to the fucking point. That'll be kind of towards the end of it, I guess. But I could take, like we was wondering season 2, will it set up, head towards the end kind of thing? Will it do one of those endings where they're not sure if they'll get third season and kind of like try and wrap it up, but leave it, of course, to a third one. But I guess we're just going to get another cliffhanger now and at least go into season 3. Maybe season 3 will be last. I would actually really hope that they do season 3 as the last. Just because they haven't said that yet doesn't mean they can't decide to make the third one the last, I guess. Especially if they get more episodes. They always talk like they wanted to do like 13 originally and whatever, and they've been doing just 8 episodes. 8, so it's like instead of doing 4 seasons, extend the last season to a few more episodes and maybe just try
wrap it all up.
Wrap it all up, especially since it won't come out until 2021 or some shit like that, most likely. So
it's a very weird schedule. It's kind of like doing a Westworld type of deal. Yeah.
It makes sense to an extent. Like I don't want them feeling rushed to do it.
Yeah,
it's treating your show the same sort of quality that you would give a movie, like taking time, stepping away, spending the time on the scripts and stuff, whatever you need to do production wise, instead of your normal 24 episode TV series that rush, and then like half the episodes are absolute crap and half of them are all right. And so either way, American Gods season 3 coming, exciting. Get to watch it in 2 years, hopefully, maybe. we'll see what happens behind the scenes, of course. All right, so jumping into this week's episode, it was called The Beguiling Man. It was directed by Frederick E.O. Toy, written by Tyler Danucci and Andres Fisher Centenio. Yep, sure. Synopsis for the episode was: promising vengeance for the death of a beloved old god, Mr. Wednesday begins preparation for a great battle. Laura and Mad Sweeney chase shadows, diminishing light after he disappears. So the first thing I was going to point out, in case anyone was like, what does the title mean? The Beguiling dictionary says, beguiling is often used to describe a person like a beautiful girl, but can also be used when referring to a place, an inanimate object like an Italian sports car. But be careful. Sometimes beguiling things are meant to trick you. Blah, 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 blah. So I was like wondering what the title, because I suppose if you were looking at what the episode focused on, because episode's like heavily focused on Shadow, of course, and what has to do with him, you could be like, oh, the Beguiling Man. No, in my mind, it's like someone tricky. It's Wednesday.
Yeah, that's right. That was my interpretation. There was Wednesday.
Yeah, has to be
also
Wednesday.
From Google Dictionary, it says charming or enchanting, often in a deceptive way. So yeah,
exactly. So Wednesday.
Yeah.
Although this episode doesn't actually have much to do with Wednesday, unless you want to argue it is Shadow and it's saying something about him and Laura.
Possibly, yeah.
But from the outset, it's like that description only leads to one character, which is going to be Wednesday.
That we know about so far, yeah.
Yeah.
He's the only one that fits the description.
Yeah, exactly. So the episode kind of sets everyone off into groups for the first time. It's once again, this is a weird episode to watch because I definitely feel like this episode, if any, especially more so than the first episode of the season, was very much like, this is so different to what I'd expect from this show and what this show to do. This just felt like, as weird as it is to say, a normal TV show.
Yeah, I got the impression or the feeling that it's not at the level of what I expect from it. It's very like a middle of the road type TV show episode.
Yeah, I was like, I'm enjoying it, but it definitely does not feel like the first season. It just feels like a normal.
Sets everyone up, go, oh yeah, we're all on our way, we're all in our mission. That's all. Yeah, it
splits all the characters up, and then we're jumping around, seeing what they're all happening, what they're doing throughout the episode.
Not much ambiguity, not much lore building or world building or anything like that. It just happens.
So he wasn't the biggest fan then? If I
had to rate it from what I remember season 1, I think this is the worst episode yet.
The worst episode yet?
For me personally, but I've seen a lot of mixed reactions, what I've read on the Reddit and whatnot, that people either love it or hate it, so...
I think I struggle with it because I enjoyed it.
Yeah, in saying that, I did enjoy it. It's just, I guess, disappointing in a way as well.
Yeah, it is that thing of constantly comparing it to what I liked about the show. And I'm watching it and my brain's going, you are enjoying this. You are attached. You are paying attention. You are like, what's going to happen next?
Invested,
next? I'm invested in the character stories and everything that's happening. But I'm having like this battle in my head of, but this isn't what I signed up for. But I'm still enjoying it. So it's like, and then I'm kind of telling myself, just shut up. Just fucking, if you're enjoying it, just shut up and enjoy the fucking show, I guess.
Take your critic hat off.
Yeah, it might have to a little bit. But I'm hoping by the time we reach the end of the season, considering I expect this to be obviously the tone and style to continue of this quote unquote normal television type stuff. Yeah. By the time we get to the end of the season, maybe in another episode or two, I'll be more accustomed and be like, this is American Gods now, and it's shot more standard. It's stories being told more standard, but I'm still enjoying the characters and the overall story and the world and things. And I'll kind of be able to move past missing a lot more of the ambiguity, as you're saying, to do with a lot of things and focus on visual storytelling over just here is what's actually happening.
Yeah, I've noticed too they're very on the nose with a lot of things as well.
So yeah, I think they're just playing not to a dumber audience, they're just playing to a more normal audience,
a more general,
not so niche audience. So yeah, the episode's basically groups split off. So Shadow gets split off, but not by his own choice, I guess, into his own thing. Wednesday's off somewhere, Laura's off somewhere, fucking the Jinn jumps off on a bike and they go up somewhere. What's his face goes off somewhere to get his hammer or whatever and yell and scream and bury what's her face as well. So everyone kind of after the end of last episode fucked off into a million and one different directions. But we focus on three main groups of people and their stories in this episode. So we'll kind of go over those one by one, and we'll start with Shadow's story because I think it's easy to say it was the focus of this episode, which it's a Shadow backstory episode. Yeah, 100% a Shadow backstory episode, and I feel like that's why a lot of people are either going to love it or hate it because it's like, do you buy into Shadow's backstory and stuff given he hasn't really been an interesting character and was talking about it last week where it's this thing of, well, he's not meant to be an interesting character, he's just meant to be this void for the reader to experience the story with him within the novel, but in the TV show they're actually trying to give him some sort of story and stuff. And having not read the book, I fully expect obviously a lot of this has changed from the book. 100%. How much would you say it's changed? You get a little bit of the backstory in the book, but it's nowhere near as this expansive. So you get his mother died and he got left alone, but you didn't, and he come from Europe, but you didn't get this in depth. So yeah, it was more a general kind of thing. Yeah. So we'll start with the fact that Shadow's being interrogated, I guess, by as we learn later, he's on a moving train and going around the same circuit over and over or something like that. I don't get it. And Mr. Town is played by Dean Winters. That was one of the guest stars they announced ahead of the release. What do you think of Mr. Town? Because I thought it was just fine. He was. He's
definitely, from what I remember, a more interesting character in the book. Like he was a government agent that didn't really believe in gods and stuff like that. So I guess he changed his character up a little bit, but I don't know. It's just very stereotypical, I guess, for someone in that kind of role. Yeah.
He didn't seem to have much character to me at all. It was just very stereotypical.
He's just
interrogator guy. Exactly, yeah. Which didn't make it particularly exciting, and he didn't really have much to do. He was there to ask the questions and look at Shadow as he's strapped up. I'll give one thing. I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who plays Shadow had to do an entire episode where he... That's it, yeah. Had to do an entire episode where he's just strapped into this futuristic looking torture device.
So odd.
Yeah,
I don't know where they got the idea for it from.
I don't understand what the arm things, because at first I was wondering if they were actually doing something, because they look like it's like sucked in his arms, but I'm like, they're not doing anything really, are they? They're just holding him there.
Yeah. I think it's meant to invoke the image of the Beguiling Man from Da Vinci, but for what purpose, I have no idea.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at the thing now, and the outline or whatever you want to call it, those silhouette, it does look like a skull or something. I guess
it's very odd. Yeah. And the barrel that he's standing on seemed out of place for it too.
Yeah. It doesn't look like it's part of it at all. It's like everything is this one machine.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, we need something for him to stand on. Oh, what's that over there? Which the eagle-eyed viewer would notice says Vulcan on it, which is that god from last season that Wednesday got him to forge a sword for and ended up killing him. Yeah.
Does that have relevance or
no? Maybe? Not at all. Not
okay,
really.
so it's just a random.
He's a made up character for the show. So
okay,
yeah,
just a random thing part of it. Yeah, then. It's funny because that whole episode forged the sword. Then we're still like episodes later and stuff. It's like, all right, now I need a spear.
Yeah, you have a sword now. You want your spear?
Now I need my spear. I'm like, what happened to your sword there?
He's playing Skyrim and has better stats.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing. So as Shadow's being interrogated, he's being asked a bunch of questions by Mr. Town. Primarily, it's all just about what he knows, what Wednesday's plan is, what Wednesday plans to do, blah, 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 blah. Of course, Shadow's like, I don't really know anything. And to be fair, he doesn't really know anything. So he's not lying at all. But then it seems that to try and get to him, that Town's getting into his backstory and his history and stuff, and he starts teasing him about his life and all these sorts of things to try and get more information out of him. And that's when throughout the episode we get three or four separate flashbacks.
Yeah, it was 4,
of Shadow's, I say childhood, but I'm pretty sure he's a teenager. Like he looks like 16 or something like that. Yeah, that's the thing. It wasn't until I was writing down my notes and then my brain like suddenly actually clicked onto it, because I wrote it down. I was like, Shadow's backstory. And then I was like, wait, this is a coming to America scene. But
Quite just, literally.
Yeah, it is literally a coming to America scene, and possibly the only coming to America thing we'll get in season 2.
The thing I found odd that I only just realized is that they were coming to America on a boat where nobody arrives to America on a boat in that era anymore.
The cool kids do.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, so you don't really see anything before that either, and they don't really talk much about it, I guess. And obviously Shadow wants to know more about his father and stuff. He's asking questions, and they never really talk about it. But it's like, hey, at some stage, for some reason, I guess because everyone wanted to get to America, the dream, hashtag the dream. They hop on a boat, Shadow and his mum. They come over to New York City.
New York,
yeah. Come over to New York City, start settling in there a little bit. And then we have this scene of Shadow where he decides to go out. His mum's going out to see a boyfriend or something. And he goes exploring, and he's in the park and he's listening to music. And then some kids basically beat the shit out of him solely because he like looks and sounds different. Yeah. It's like, you're European.
Yeah.
You don't sound right. And they kick the shit out of him. And then it's kind of funny though, because they're picking on him because he's not African American, I guess. Like they're kicking they're kicking the shit out of him for that reason. But then they have the whole scene where as he's running away later, the cops push him up against the wall. Yeah. And they don't give a shit. They're still treating him like they're like, it's the white cops arresting the black kids because of course they must be trouble. So it's funny because the kids all pick on him for being different, but then the cops are like, no, you're the same as them. So we're all going to fucking chuck you in the back of this van the same as anyone else. So I thought that was an interesting scene and stuff that we get to play out. We then get to see he has like talks with his mom, and she's like, try and be better, blah, 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 blah. He starts developing more of a tougher persona from this point on, I guess you could say, given some of the interesting tidbits is the fact that he's we gather that he's actually well read as a kid, and he spends a lot of time reading, and his mum encourages him to read and encourages him to listen to a lot of music and these sorts of things. It's really the complete opposite of what you'd expect from Shadow, given what we know about him as a criminal, tough guy, quiet, brooding guy in the back corner type thing.
He's well cultured,
Yeah, exactly. It's like this complete opposite thing where it's how do you get from point A to point B, you start wondering, I guess. But then we get this whole thing where we learn that his mum all of a sudden gets terminally ill. Presumably, I took it as cancer, of course.
It was cancer because they were at an oncology clinic from the signage.
I missed that thing. So, yeah, she gets cancer. Then we get a scene where you really do get to see him kind of grow angrier and stuff and want to take out his anger in a certain place where his mum's inside and talking to someone on the phone or something, and then he hears these kids being picked on down the street, like a kid being picked on down the street or whatever, and he basically just goes down there. At first it's like, oh, maybe he's just going for a look to see what's going on type thing, but then as soon as he sees them all, he just jumps in and starts fighting them all and
starts swinging for the fences.
And they do play it very well, the way it's shot and stuff. Makes it out like as it's kicking in, he won't go down kind of thing. He just starts.
This particular fight scene, I think, was pretty well done.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. In fact, overall, I thought probably some of my favorite stuff of this episode was actually the flashback stuff. I enjoyed both. So Young Shadow was played by Gabriel Deruku, and Shadow's mum was played Alonki Adai. I'm really bad at names. But I thought they were both fantastic, and I really enjoyed everything about all the flashback scenes, which I found interesting given I think Shadow is a boring character.
Yeah. I enjoyed it, but at the same time I thought it was a little bit too generic. I mean, it serves its purpose fine, but I
do you just mean like our kid loses mum?
I think it's. I don't know if it was a case of me expecting more than what they gave me. It's just I feel like I've seen that kind of backstory too many times before.
Yeah, that's
which
fair.
I mean, they obviously they do it because it works, but I don't know. Maybe it's just making it stale for that kind of thing.
Well, I think it kind of works in the context of the show as well, considering it's like we see all these coming to America things with the gods and stuff, and they all kind of come to America and get the shit kicked out of them in one way or another.
Yeah.
And Shadow's backstory is no different, really, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
There's a lot of parallels where you can look at it, comes to America, has to learn to live within America, has to start living by American rules, like how to live within the context. And we know how he ends up as a criminal and a hard and tough guy and these sorts of things. So
also his mother didn't want him there either, because you heard him on the phone before he went and kicked the shit out of those kids, saying, I don't know who she was talking to, but saying like, I don't want him to live here or anything like that, which is odd in a way. Like, why would he be left there with no family whatsoever anyway?
It's I guess Shadow's family and lineage is kind of one of the interesting parts of the show, I guess. Even if you take out his father and stuff, it's like, does the mum have family? Is that who she was talking to? Like, did she even have friends somewhere that could help him out? There's a lot.
Obviously, there must be someone who she was talking to. So
she was talking to herself.
She was pretending to be on the phone talking to herself.
Maybe.
Go on, I forget what I was going to say.
I was going to say the last scene, and when we get up, so he beats the shit out of all these kids. His mum kind of tells him off for that, of course, and then we see it play out as the next one is he's in the clinic, as you said before. No, this is before that.
The clinic was before that.
I took it out of context. He was in the clinic before, and one of the important things there is that when he's sitting there waiting, he sees someone sitting behind him playing with a coin, doing the knuckle trick thing or whatever you call it, and he gets given the coin by this quote unquote mysterious person, although
a beguiling man.
A beguiling man. Or maybe that's why it's called the title, for that one scene.
Possibly
there. I mean, I feel like it's just like, my question for this is it actually Ian McShane when they changed his voice, or
I have no idea. Because
it sounds like him, but then doesn't sound like him, obviously.
I don't know. I think they're too on the nose with this, but also like try to hide it in a very bad way as well.
Yeah, because I was like, having not read the books and everything, I'm like, okay, Ian McShane, with your voice modulation or whatever the hell's going on here, but I can still tell it's you, motherfucker. Yeah. Like
Ian McShane putting on an accent.
So yeah, it was a weird scene because it's like I can tell you're hiding it, but you're not doing a very good job at hiding it at all. So so he gets the coin, which is kind of relevant a bit later when Town throws it at him and all these sorts of things, I guess. And
yeah, well, his whole thing is he does this coin trick, Knuckles.
Yeah. Then the final scene we kind of get with Shadow and his origin story is we do get to see he's in the church, which is interesting, I suppose, for a couple elements because we don't, from what we gather, of course, Shadow is a non-religious person from everything we know from time we've known him. And that would kind of make sense given Laura also in this episode talks about being an atheist and not believing in anything. So that'd probably get along if they both didn't believe anything. Then he's in the church. He has a breakdown, of course. I presume this is probably maybe the day of her service after she's died, a day after sort of thing.
Maybe it's 5 flashbacks because you get a scene where him beside her and the deathbed as well.
Yeah, and they're talking and she's like, be nice, be polite.
Yeah.
These sorts of things. So maybe she died shortly following that scene or something. And then this is later that day. This is the next day, something. But it seems obviously close. He has a kind of breaks down the church crying, but at the same time his hands kind of represent, I guess, that he was praying somewhat at the same time is how I took it. Because he obviously went in there for a reason and he sat down and everything. So I took it as he was doing some sort of praying. But then he kind of stands up and puts on, I guess, a face of I need to hard the fuck up and get on with this, I guess, and heads out.
Which I saw a lot of people discussing that I want to get your interpretation is that while he was being tortured, these were repressed memories that are being brought back up.
No, I don't believe that. I just took it
as I don't think so either, but it's just a theory that I saw people discussing.
I took it as he was just remembering them, but as far I wouldn't take them as repressed. They were certainly memories he wouldn't want to and maybe hasn't thought about for quite some time, but that doesn't mean they're repressed compared to if you ever like he could suddenly have something come back to his brain and then you'd like do the whole thing where you just push it away and try not to think about it and bury it kind of thing, but which you could say is like repressed to an extent, but no, it's a little bit different to me is what I'd say. So that's Shadow's stuff, I guess. Shadow's coming to America backstory. I enjoyed it. It
was so good.
I get what you're saying about it kind of being cliche-ish for how a kid goes into a criminal and blah, 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 I guess. But it's still interesting to me because we don't actually know how, even at the end of this, you kind of get the thing of, okay, he's a little bit more pissed off and whatever. But then still up until that moment, he's like, be polite. His mum's saying, be polite, be nice, blah, 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 blah. We learn all these things about him reading more and music and he's a polite kid, a nice kid.
I think it also highlights because Town goes to him, you're always just going with the flow, which is kind of him, like just, I guess, getting into the mold. Yeah. As opposed to like changing from the person he was to the person that he is as well.
Being his own person more just.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's jump on to what we get with Wednesday and Nancy now. So don't really get too much with them in the episode, but they do end the episode in a bit of a what the fuck moment, obviously. So that was interesting. I was kind of disappointed with a lot of what we got from this episode because I think you got Ian McShane, Orlando Jones, two characters that are in this episode that whenever they're on screen just bring such a presence to it that you
very charismatic.
You just want to see those characters interact more. You just want to see them talk about anything. I don't care. Just write them a well-written, good scene. But the one fucking scene, this is the worst part of the episode, I hated it so much. I was like, really? I'm like, the one little scene we're going to get of them interacting in that car is a fucking fried chicken joke.
Yeah.
really? That's the level we're at now for this?
And it seems so out of place with him being associate or fucking consultant or something like that, that he went along with it as well.
Yeah.
Because when a lot of his stuff is so racially motivated and charged, like colonists and he's coming to America and all that kind of stuff, and they stoop to a fried chicken joke.
Yeah.
It's the Green Book.
Yeah, it is.
It's literally the Green Book.
It is. I was like,
have any fried chicken?
I like the color bar, like doing this joke kind of just showed me the writing got the bar went down quite a lot from last season, because that is such a low bar joke to do, especially in fucking 2019. And I'm like, really? That's what we're going to do? And I think it did just piss me off more, because that is the only fucking interaction we see with these characters, basically, apart from like a little thing later. That's the one scene. They cut to them for a scene in the car as they're driving between the old other characters, and this is what we get. We get fucking.
This is what highlights the downgrade in quality.
Yeah, if you could have had them have 30 seconds of dialogue about anything, and it's still, you could have still wanted to write a funny scene, like not serious, just have them joking around or whatever. But really, this is the only thing you could think of. I was like, oh.
And part of it was just Nancy on himself, like fucking.
Ian McShane was asleep. Yeah. Wednesday's asleep, and then he wakes up and he's like, dialogue, where'd the chicken go? And he's like, oh, I ate it all. Oh, okay. And he's muttering to himself, this motherfucker fucking went in there and thought to get you food, fucking fried chicken. I was like, okay, that's anyway, that's the worst moment of the episode. I'll try not to think about it too much else. The other thing we get with these two is that, of course, the end of the episode. So they're on their way. I missed exactly where they were even going or what they set out to do when they never explained it, did they?
No, I don't believe they did.
Yeah, because they leave the restaurant. It's like,
I know at the beginning they like when he sent Laura and Sweeny off, he goes, oh, she doesn't need your help or something. Have some faith in him or something like that, and that was about it.
Yeah, that's all I caught as well. Where she's like, I'm gonna save him. He's like, nah, he'll be fine. And then even Mad Sweeney was like, aren't you worried about your guy or whatever? And he's like, no, he's fine. Seems not nonchalant, not worried about it at all. And they can't just head off. And for the entire episode, it's like, where are they even going?
Yeah.
And then where they end up stopping is atop of train tracks. And now Orlando is asleep. Nancy's asleep in the car, in the back of the car at this stage. Wednesday's parked the car over the train tracks, and he's talking to it, and I should have gone back and wrote down the lines, but it's basically saying like, you were created from machines of the new gods and all these sorts of things. You've served your purpose well, blah, 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 but I'll see you in Valhalla.
Yeah, so this is like the modern incantation of his steed called Sleipnir from mythology. And it's him sacrificing it for, I don't know, whatever purpose it ends up being. So sacrifice is a big point for Odin in mythology. Like he's sacrificed himself and his eye numerous times, and it's just going to show that he will sacrifice anyone and anything to further his goals, which currently we don't know what his goals are. So it could end up being anything, but that's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
I can see he doesn't really explain that to the viewer that's not tuned into that kind of thing either. So
I mean, I think it's easy to gather in somewhat that he's sacrificing his car, but for what means and why, and what's he getting out of it, and all that sort of stuff is kind of
because if you see in the fireball, like a horse
comes out there. So that's how the episode ends, with the train hitting the car. Then they show in his eye, you see a horse run out of it.
Yeah.
To which I was like, did a horse come actually out of that, or is that just a stylistic choice at the end of it? Or did he literally turn his car into a fucking steed? Because like, I know he's the old gods, but maybe turn your car into a tank if you go in the war, you know, like the horse maybe not the best idea at this stage. I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny. It was funny and interesting scene. The only other part here where we got like when Nancy's asleep in the back car and then he finally wakes up. He's like, "No one's getting fucking sacrificed. Set the veil. Hell, fuck you."
He fucking gets out and walks off.
Gets out and he just starts walking.
I'll see you in Cairo.
Yeah, that was kind of funny, I guess. But yeah, so I presume. Because the train hits it, of course, and we'll get to Laura being inside the train and stuff in a second. But the train is hitting it. I'm going to presume, especially given the season 3, episode 3 teaser, that it causes the train to derail in some fashion as well. But then I'm like, did he sacrifice the car to stop the train? Because that wasn't necessary.
Well, the only thing I can think of is that he had assumed that maybe Laura and Sweeny wouldn't have gotten there because they wouldn't have got there if they didn't do that backstage.
Whatever that is, which we'll get to, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that he had planned on rescuing them all along, but to show that Laura wasn't needed, but they end up getting there anyway.
Well, then why wouldn't he say, "I've got this, don't worry"? Instead, he's like, "Have faith in your man." You know, he says
like telling people anything.
That's that's also true. But yeah, so that's all we really get from them. Fuck all from those two characters, really, this episode. Much more next episode, I would gather. The second most prominent characters, though, apart from Shadow, is obviously Laura and Mad Sweeney and what they're up to this episode, though, which their job is to track down Shadow, find out where he is, of course, get back to him because Laura is obsessed with him. And I found that... I don't know if it was done on purpose or I'm reading too much into it, but I did find it was like this kind of opposite storytelling stuff where Laura is obsessed with trying to get to him because she thinks she needs to save Shadow.
Yeah.
And Shadow needs saving, and if she doesn't come, he's up shit creek. Where Shadow's backstory is kind of teaching you that Shadow doesn't need saving.
Yeah.
I guess is kind of...
It also, her primary motivation is... because I guess in a way she brought him back to life and she thinks she owes him or because of she did him dirty in real life. So
yeah, I think they kind of do go over that particularly in this episode where Mad Sweeney kind of hints at that with that being her drive because she's been like, you feel bad. You're just trying to reconcile and make
because
up
if
for
you
things.
remember last season, he pretty much says he's done with her.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, he has no choice, really.
No, not really. But in a way, he is. I guess he's. Yeah, he's done with her. He find out what she did, and he didn't like it. So, yeah.
It's. I will say because this is the first episode where we get a lot more. But just back to those two just being together, much like we had in the first season. Still, some of the funnest stuff you can watch in the show is these two interacting with one another. They're great together. Once again, as I said last episode, she is probably one of my standouts for the show as well. I think she's kind of underrated in her role because she brings quite a lot to it. She is like this full fireball of zero fucks given and stuff, and I really, really enjoy her in the show. Continue to. So head out. Of course, there's that one funny scene where they're in the car and. Well, they first have to break into a car at the start, which I found interesting because the whole time he's like breaking, I'm like, why'd you tell him to break in? The fucking alarm's going to go off, isn't it? Like, I'm waiting for it to happen, but it didn't, luckily. So then they get in the car and they head off, and there's the funny thing on the road where it's like, there's a cow, they're talking, and then she's like, cow, and then he fucking manages to dodge it. Yeah. But then, of course, right as he dodges it, he runs over
they were discussing how infidelity is the worst crime.
Where he's from.
It's the crime of a sin of a, and then she says cow, which we assume he's going to coward or something like that.
He's like, you're a fucking, and she's like cow, and then he looks over and dodges the one cow in the middle of the road, and then they swerve, and he goes, did it, and then of course he runs over the one random fucking nail in the whole road because that would be his luck these days. Wheel breaks down, then we see a whole funny little scene where they fix the tire and stuff, and then they head back off and they continue chasing his light.
To point here, like, she doesn't seem as strong as she has been.
Her strength,
So I don't know if they explained it in the show, but because she's basically a reanimated corpse, she's still decomposing. So her body is literally breaking down. That's why she was throwing up and all that kind of stuff. And he was hovering over it to see if she fucking threw up the coin or whatever. But yeah, and they discuss her way to get her life back in a way.
Some devil in
New Orleans or something like that.
Something along those lines. And she says, okay, we'll go there.
Yeah, I'll do literally anything. Yeah.
Yeah. But unless it's like, what if it's like, you have your life back, but you got to kill Shadow again or something like that. Then it's like, okay, how far are we going?
Do you mean literally everything?
Yeah, do you literally mean anything? So yeah, that's what I was wondering when she said it. So when they get the car fixed though, they head back off and they end up coming to the end of this road trying to find a way. There's like a field of flowers and stuff there. And then Laura kind of lays down, giving up somewhat. Yeah. And then Sweeny has an interesting change of heart. I don't really... No, it goes from him not really giving two fucks about helping her get there, because one way or another, he's like, she's going to fall apart someday soon, and I'll get my coin back. I just got to be hanging around when it actually takes place. So to me, it's never seemed like he really cares if they get there or not, as long as he hangs around
gets what he wants,
and he'll get what he wants eventually. But then he says, okay, no, we can get there. I just we'll use my secret transportation technique called the Horde.
Yeah, so what this basically is you know how we went into Odin's Mind Palace thing?
Yeah.
It's like his version. It's where he keeps all these treasures, being a leprechaun. It's his version of the backstage show, which it's partially in another dimension, partially in his head. So
it was interesting because
I
don't really know what he's keeping in there, but it didn't seem like there was nice things being kept in there or something.
And there's also two very split-second scenes of them both naked and in a sexual position as well.
Oh, really? I missed that.
Yeah.
So was it them or was it memories of...
Well, I don't know. I guess it's implied that he has feelings for her, I guess. But, yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, so that was an interesting thing. It's... They travel that way and then they end up on top of a bridge, and then they're able to jump from the bridge on top of the train, head through the train, and they do it. I also enjoyed this fight scene actually when they get inside the train. And
I enjoyed it, but also thought it was too dark as well.
Really? I
found the lighting a bit too dark for me. I don't know if it's just the way I viewed it because I streamed it, but I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't have any problems. I thought it looked fine, so I don't know. But yeah, for me, it was fine. I could see what was happening, and there was gory things that happened, which were good, and people's bones breaking out of their legs, and
nothing pleasant.
No, nothing pleasant happening here for sure.
So then
they head in, beat the crap out of a bunch of people. I was surprised. Also got to enjoy at least that Sweeny was enjoying having a fight, and I was waiting for his luck to go bad or something like that, but his luck held up throughout this fight. Although there was that 1 second where it's like, oh, and then he actually saw the dude coming in with the nail or whatever, screwdriver, he's managed to stop him, so I was like, oh, his luck held up throughout this fight. At least that's good. Then Laura heads in, of course, finds Shadow, sees him trapped up for the thing, kicks in the door, which slams into Mr. Town and fucking destroys him, I guess. Unless he survives.
I don't know. A lot of people think that he seems to be dead, but I don't think it killed him. Like, it's just a door landed on top of him.
It's a pretty hard door, though.
Yeah, I don't know. You go with the theory that you explicitly see someone died on TV, they're not dead. Which
I guess.
I think he's a decent size actor that you wouldn't get him in just for that shitty of a role.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, he does play a bigger role in the books too, so I don't know if we'll see him again.
The other interesting thing that I was thinking about was if the new gods are similar to the old gods in the reincarnation stuff, which they kind of talked about a little bit at the start of this episode.
Yeah.
With, I can't remember if I can.
Zoroya.
And they talk about
believers left.
Yeah, but they still kind of hint that it would be possible for her to return and stuff. And of course, the show has already shown us that there can be different versions of the same god depending on their beliefs and variations of the beliefs and blah, 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 because we saw about 50 million different variations of Jesus Christ throughout the show, be it the Mexican Jesus to the proper, quite proper that most people know Jesus at the Easter show, and a bunch of other things that were happening there. So they kind of hint that there's a possibility of her returning in some fashion, way or another. Yeah. And then I was wondering if the new gods would work the similar way. Like,
well, there's an interesting theory that I've read that media did actually kind of like go away, and this is their way of reincarnating her. Like, the media that we saw was kind of like old media, like it was Bowie, it was the way Technical Boy was saying, it was Bowie, it was Hello Dolly or whatever it is. Like, it's all old kind of stuff where the
OGTV and stuff.
Yeah, like, where the media we encountered in this episode was using emojis and using phones and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a way of like her she's actually updating, reviving and updating to current times.
Firmware upgrade 6.0 2019 edition or something.
Yeah,
like
she's going to become a meme machine.
Yeah, it's we'll talk about that in a sec, because I do find the media thing interesting. But yeah, you're right. I hadn't really thought about it that way. Town, I'm going to say is dead.
I'm not going to say he's dead.
I'm going to say he's dead because there's enough fucking characters floating around as it is, and I'm like, how many Mr.
Well, in the book, the people who interrogated Shadow were Mr. Stone and Mr. Wood, which they've already changed Wood to be that tree in the police station in season 1. So I don't think they can use him again. So, because Town does play a part in the book later on in the story. So, yeah, I don't know.
Guess we'll find out. Okay, so now we'll go over some of the more little storylines that we got, apart from the 3 main stuff. So we do get to see Bilquist being taught. She's talking to Mr. World down in the bunker thing. Like, that's where she was, right? She was in the bunker thing still.
That's what I got the impression of, especially with like the Atlas decanter and stuff like that.
Yeah, they just have a bar corner over in the back apparently now, or something like that. But she's being told to basically pick a side by Mr. World, and you got Crispin Glover being very creepy as always, just with the whispering and the I'm like, he's creepy, stop it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's wearing a bit thin on me too.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, a little bit.
I think they're stuck. They can't change it now. That's his.
Yeah, no, they can't. Yeah.
That's what the character is at this point. But he's basically telling her, there's love and war have always been 2 sides of the coin. You need to pick a side and come be on my side. And then she says that they may be part of the same coin, but they should never actually meet. So she's trying to distance herself, sit in the corner, and stay Sweden.
It's very much of a non-scene. I think they could have done without it, to be honest.
I'd agree. I think that I think they're including it because this season Bilquist is going to be a much more bigger character than the first season. But
I already got the impression that she was trying to play both sides anyway.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. You could gather that from the first episode that she's just kind of...
I suppose this is explicitly stating it, so...
Yeah, it's like in the first episode you get to see her interact a lot with the old gods. This one you get to see that she's interacting with new gods again, but she doesn't go there and dob them all in and stuff. She's still just like, hands up, just leave me alone. Okay, I just want to do my stuff and do whatever I need to do. So, but yeah, I think it's basically included because they consider her one of the main characters at this stage. And as we were saying before about how Gaiman wanted to change some elements because he felt there wasn't enough like female characters in the thing. So they've moved Bilquist up to be one of the main characters of the show, which I like because she's an interesting character and stuff, and she variation for everyone else. And it kind of works to have the love god as the neutral ground, I guess.
Yeah.
But if any character's going to try and play the middle of the fence type thing. We do get to see a little bit of Salim and the Jinn and kind of get some idea why they end up spending a lot of this season together and stuff, because that's something I was wondering about last episode as well, where you were saying like, why the fuck are they spending time together? How they're like forcing them together. Yeah, I'm still kind of in your camp of I would have preferred them to have just left their story where it was as this one-off really great episode from the first season, but they've dragged the character along, and I'm still not sold on it, although I do think that they hint at some things in this scene that could potentially make interesting topics of discussion and things for them to hit on throughout the rest of the season between those two characters.
The thing I don't understand is the thing they got to that scene, he goes, do you need any money for the bus? And then he says something and he just hands him a helmet. So why did you turn so quickly?
Well, he says something about I can't remember exactly what he says, but he does say something like the Jinn says it's too dangerous where I'm going. Where Wednesday wants me to go is too dangerous because he's being sent to get Wednesday's spear. And then Salim does say something about believing in him, blah, 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 and that's why he gives him a helmet because he's like, this fucking guy won't go away. Just take the helmet, get on the fucking bike. Let's go.
Of all the things, this seems like the most executive pushing kind of thing because of how good the reaction they got from them including that in season 1. It just seems to me like they've gone, right, we've got a good buzz from a community, let's keep it going in a way. That's the impression. Like, whether it is or not, that's just, and they can expand it to make an interesting story, but where it currently sits now, it just seems that way to me.
I'll say the stuff that they're hinting at that could be potentially interesting is because they do have the scene with Salim where he's praying.
Yeah.
And it kind of just shows you that even though he's in this place with a bunch of different gods and a Jinn, which isn't actually something he should believe in or whatever because it goes against his religion. Even though he's literally sitting at a coffee table in a restaurant with this thing that he is totally against his religion and what he should believe in and stuff, from what I can gather, he's still over there praying. So it kind of just shows you how much of a devotee Muslim he is, even though he's standing in the presence of the Jinn. And then they do show the shot of the Jinn where he's kind of like looks over and it's a bit like, you don't see his eye roll because he doesn't have any eyes, but they
he did a fire swirl.
He did a fire swirl or whatever anyway. So I guess that's what I took away from the episode as potentially they don't do it this episode, and I agree in part with you that the 2 episodes we've got with these characters so far are nothing scenes really. It's all set up. But from what I took from this episode, they're setting up potentially to have an interesting conversation about religion with those 2 characters over there and exactly how they go about it, especially Salim with his Muslim beliefs. So I'm down for that. I think that could be interesting depending on how they go about it. That's already something, of course, they played with the first time they met, so they can continue with that. But they're just not getting there yet. And I'm like, okay, you're setting it up. At least, like, you don't need to have the full conversation in one episode. You can have the conversation over several episodes and start doing scenes and having those characters have conversations about stuff and whatever. So just get there already.
I think it's the same. It's also a similar variation on Laura's I'm an atheist too. It's just like a different variation of the dynamic, I guess. Like, how can you be an atheist still
surrounded by gods?
You're surrounded by gods. You got revived from the dead by a lucky coin from a leprechaun, and
although also what she said kind of made sense to me in a little bit because she's saying, like, if no one believes in you, yous are all fucking nothing.
Yeah.
And then yous are all assholes. You do nothing, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know if she was saying so much that she doesn't believe, because obviously she knows it's real.
Yeah.
She's just saying that she doesn't believe in their faith story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She doesn't buy into any of their bullshit more so than she doesn't believe. Because she's not, to say you don't believe that they're real when you're sitting next to them is stupid. To say you don't believe in their bullshit that they're trying to sell you is a little bit different, I suppose.
Yeah,
so I think when she's
understandable. Yeah,
I think when she's saying she's an atheist still, it's saying that even though she's seeing them, she still ain't buying into no bullshit. You know, it's kind of thing of having God come down in front of you and be like, "Here I am. Do you believe me now?" And then kind of still being like, "Well, no, because there's still a lot of fucked up shit happening in the world. You're an asshole. I'm not buying into your bullshit." That's kind of what I took it at from her front, I guess. Then the last thing we had was what you were saying before. So Technical Boy goes down to New York Times Square.
Times Square.
Times Square. You got all the big stuff happening there, banners and stuff, and he's trying to track down media, and he starts talking to her, and all these devices are talking a little bit back, showing things, flickering, etc., etc., etc. We don't see her this episode though, because of course it ends with him. She acts like she's about to run off, but then Technical Boy does something that kind of hones in on her location or something, and it's basically him being like, "Hey, you are media, but I'm the fucking technical god,
you exist inside me," kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like I'm not your boss, but without me, you're fucked, and I'm probably fucked without you as well to a degree. So, and I can't go back without you because world will be rightly pissed.
A little bit angry. Yeah,
I need you to come back, and what he's talking to this little glowing star type thing, which when you're saying before about her like fully rebooting herself and whatever else kind of makes sense, because it's like she's got no form at this stage. She's kind of just gone back into herself and just become nothing but data, and she's not holding any sort of form or anything, and she's learning all about the world again and these sorts of things. She's in Times Square, one of the busiest places, and she's just relearning and going over what's happening and updating and stuff. So we'll see her next episode. I would assume. I think she was in the teaser for episode 3. Actually, I can't even remember now.
I haven't seen it, so
I think she's in it for like a second. The actress I think that plays her. But so she's coming in. That's exciting. I'm a little bit like kind of expected to see her this episode actually, because of course it's only an 8-episode show. And I'm like, well, 2 episodes in, we still haven't got media back. But I suppose a lot of this episode of course was devoted to Shadow's backstory, and it's like we need more time to give you the updated new media. But yeah, wrapping up, any other little tidbits or things that I've missed that you'd like to point out?
Just a lot of what happened in this episode is completely new to the story, like it didn't happen in the book. So other than the interrogation, which was a variation of anyway, a lot of it's completely brand new. Are
you excited? Like, even though you might not be liking some of it, is exciting?
I'm excited to see where they take it.
Makes it feel a little bit
sort of things.
Yeah, a little bit different.
Fresh and different. Yeah, a new experience.
Yeah. So next week's episode is titled Moonin.
Yeah, it's the name of one of Odin's ravens.
And which you see for a hot 2 seconds at the start of this episode at some point along those lines. And in the episode teaser thing, we see you see him talking about talking to a guy with like heaps of eyes on his face or something, and that's where they're going to go. I don't know exactly what that is talking about. He's interacting with Laura, interacting with Shadow, of course, and so they're all getting back together next episode is kind of what I took it as. Whether they then split up into sort of different groups again after that, I don't know. I presume they kind of split off into 2 groups of some sort again, because they're not all going to be together. That doesn't really seem how the show's going to work, but we see that sort of stuff happening. We see a glimpse of media and stuff. So this episode kind of split them all up, and then got to get that spear. I presume they'll flash back to the Jinn and stuff next week as well, and see what they're up to and whatever else. So that's next week's episode, though. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Viewing Gods. We are your Viewing Gods, Dylan and Nick.
That's us.
You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaladil, VIVALADIL. You can join our Discord to talk to Nick, explosionnetwork.com/Discord. You can head on over to explosionnetwork.com to watch this show, or you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, other great podcasting services. And of course, you can find it on YouTube, where you can ring the bell, like it, and subscribe for much more. And you can also find on our podcasting services, What Do You Want to Watch is our general movies, TV, talking podcasting, and that's over at explosionnetwork.com as well, of course. Until next week, where hopefully you swipe right on Bilquist. How do we close the show?
Yeah, that sounds right. Swipe right, Bilquist. That'll do.
All right, bye.
Bye, later.